Hey everybody, it's Justin and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I've got a fun and magical treat box tutorial to share with you using some brand new products by scrapbook.com. We're going to be using the Enchanted Pattern Paper Collection along with the House Treat Box Shape Dies and the Gingerbread House Treat Box add-ons. Let's talk about what papers we're going to use from the Enchanted Paper Pad. I am using the 6x8 pad, which is very important for the body of this house treat box. I've grabbed the light blue solid pattern, the light pink paper. I've also grabbed this ombre white star pattern. And then in addition to that, I am going to be pulling 2 sheets of the colorful star confetti pattern paper as well. And this is going to get me started for my treat box. So here you're going to see me with all of the papers that you are going to be using to create this card. I am going to grab the House Treat Box Shape Dies and take off the large body piece. You are going to need to use this piece twice in order to get the square house with the 4 sides. Here you'll see me kind of struggling just a little bit to get it off of the tape for the very first time, but once we get it off, we will be ready to go. Now this die, it is pretty big, and that's why it's so important to use the 6x8 pattern paper, because as you see, that large die takes up probably about 80% of that piece of paper. I'm going to use the new 1/4-inch mint tape to tack the die down onto the colorful star confetti paper, and then we'll go ahead and we will process it through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine, of course in the scrapbook.com exclusive black color. I do die cut it twice like I had said so we can construct the entirety of the treat box. Now I'm going to use the blue, pink, and the colorful ombre with white star pattern paper for the rest of the embellishments for our house. I'm going to cut out the door frame from the pink paper, and then I'm going to cut out the actual door shape itself from the blue paper. There's a round window that I will put down with the pink paper. Sorry, knocked my paper over a little bit. And then we are going to cut all of the scalloped edges of the house from the star ombre paper in the colorful pattern. I'm going to go a little bit more into detail about this ombre paper and about how I'm going to use those scalloped edges for the roof later on in this video. Next, I'm going to put each of the window frames on the blue paper and tack them down with the 1/4-inch mint tape. And I also put down the window sill onto the pink paper as well. Using the new titanium scissors by scrapbook.com, I am trimming my paper so that I have less times that it's going to have to be processed through my die cutting machine, since I can work with some smaller elements. I do die cut the ombre paper with the white star background in half vertical orientation wise, so I can get all of those scallops die cut nicely. I pass it through my die cutting machine, and I want to show you how I'm going to die cut the rest of the roof pieces. I counted, I'm going to need about 8 of them, 4 per each side, and I'm just going to keep shifting this scallop die cut down and die cutting the next color, and then I will layer my colors so it also reflects that ombre. Here you'll see me die cut these elements one last time, and now I want to also show you something special we're going to do with a little tag for our treat box. Using the pink paper from the Enchanted Pattern Paper Collection, I'm going to die cut the tag from that paper. I'm also pulling out the Gingerbread House add-on dies, which coordinate perfectly with this set, and I am going to use it to die cut the circles. There's a large and a small circle. We'll do the large circle once, the small circle twice. And then we will also be using these little flourish dies that will fit perfectly underneath the roof eave. So I've got my little blue pieces situated for the circles. We're going to get those little squiggles that go under the roof eave. I'm going to use my new titanium scissors to cut everything down and process it through my die cutting machine. Once I have that situated, we can now move on to the assembly portion of our card. I've organized my scalloped pieces for the roof in two piles in color order from the blue to the yellow, and I am going to use my Misty Precision Glue Press to adhere the little scalloped edges onto the roof. I'm not adhering the entire piece, I'm leaving the little scalloped edges not adhered, and this allows me to tuck in the next piece underneath so I get a nice layered effect. And this way I can start at the score line that's at the top of the treat box for the first bit and then adhere each of the scalloped edges thereafter. For the first side, I'm finishing off with the yellow ombre pattern paper piece that's got the white star pattern, and I love that with the arrangement that we put those scalloped edges in, you still get that wonderful ombre effect. Now, since we are doing the same process a second time, I am speeding up my video a little bit more, but I still wanted to show you the process of adhering those scalloped edges to my house treat box so that you get that wonderful scalloped edge with capturing that ombre pattern paper. Once those are put into place, we can start adhering the rest of the units for our treat box. I do recommend using something like a Misty Precision Glue Press so you don't put too much glue onto these thinner die cuts. You're also going to see me very shortly. I am going to pull in a pair of craft tweezers as well so that I can work with some of these smaller die cuts. So I'm going to pop that door piece right inside of the door frame, and then here comes those tweezers for the precision placement, and they just work so perfectly with the Misty Precision Glue Press. It's like a match made in heaven. It really allows you to get a nice application of these elements onto your project. Now, something else you could do that I didn't use for this portion of my project is you could put your paper onto double-sided adhesive and die cut out all of the shapes that way. You wouldn't need to use any sort of liquid adhesive. You could just peel the backing off your die cut shapes and pop them right onto your card. I really do like using double-sided adhesive sheets when it comes to smaller and more intricate dies. I would consider these dies not very intricate because you're not cutting a lot of elements out of it, but it does come in handy with working with smaller pieces as well, because sometimes you can get a little bit too much glue on those smaller pieces. So keep that in mind as a little bit of a shortcut that you could do that might make your assembly process a little bit easier. But I'm going ahead with my Misty Precision Glue Press. I'm going to adhere my little pink window sills to the bottom of each window. I determined I wanted the scalloped edges facing upwards. I thought this would be a nice contrast to the scalloped edges of the roof facing downwards. So I just thought that that would be a fun way to add some little elements and a little bit of extra detail to the project. I also love that the color of the star confetti of the main house treat box works really well with all of the patterns that we pulled. We've got the blue and the pink doors and windows. We've got a little bit of the yellow coming in from the roof ombre. And then I'm also going to, as I'm putting all those elements in, you see me lining everything up to make sure that those windows hit at about the same mark on both sides of the house, so it doesn't look like I've got one side with windows high and the other side with windows low. So you can just put them next to each other to kind of compare where they're going to line up. They don't have to be exact, but you want to make sure they're somewhat close. People aren't really going to be able to see both sets at the same time, but they will notice, of course, if one of them is significantly higher than the others. So I'm doing my best just to kind of mimic each side of the house. I only did the door on one side because I figured the house only needed a front door. Hey, if you wanted to put a back door on the house as well, I say have at it. Whatever fits your needs. You could make this an entire mirrored image of itself. Work with whatever is best for you. Now I am putting on the back a little square window instead of a door because I thought that it didn't want to be an empty panel and just have a little bit of something on it. So I'm going to press that little square, well, more rectangular window into place, and then we're going to be able to move on to the assembly process of putting this house together. Now there are scored edges provided with these die cuts. I wanted to go in with a bone folder and just sort of reinforce each of these folds so that my house folded nicely onto each other when assembled. One thing that you're not really going to want to score much is the little edge where underneath the scalloped edge of the roof. You're not going to really want to score that. You're going to want to make the roof just kind of be able to naturally connect itself, and so I'm scoring almost every edge but where that roof piece would bend so that you can meet the two handle pieces together. So after I get everything nice and scored onto itself, I'm going to be able to begin the process of putting this cute little magical treat box together. And I tell you, this is just so much relaxation to just sit and score. It's a lot of repetitive motions that you're doing to get this thing assembled, and sometimes that's so helpful with crafting. It really brings you a little bit of peace. I am using some 1/4-inch double-sided tape to connect all of the elements for this treat box. Now, I started off camera using a little bit of glue, and I just didn't like that I wasn't getting that immediate connection, and I thought that the strong double-sided adhesive tape in the 1/4-inch would fit really nicely. So it gives me that immediate adhesive to the unit. I also try to fold the bottom onto itself, and I quickly realized I just want to adhere it. I think it's going to look a little bit cleaner that way. So I am going to take my final tabbed edge, put my 1/4-inch double-sided tape onto it, remove the backing, and then I'm essentially going to just fold my treat box in half to match up all of those edges, and it does so really perfectly. I'm going to take some more double-sided adhesive and I'm going to put it on the outer flaps. I'm going to do 2 pieces on each side so it's going to get a really nice application. I'm not going to worry about this box coming undone on itself. And then we're just going to make sure we've got it all nice and reinforced. And then once all the tape is in place, you can take the backing off of each of the pieces. Now remember, there is 4, so make sure you're going to get all of them. And then I fold the house onto itself for the bottom, and then I flip it over. I have a tool from Sizzix that is a eraser that's on a stick, and it's got a flat edge. So I was really able to use that to press down to make sure that my bottom is nicely sealed and adhered on top of each other. We're not done yet though, because I want to do one more fun thing, and I thought this would add a little bit of whimsy that's provided with that enchanted paper collection, and I thought that we would make a fun mouse head inspired gift tag that's just perfect for the theme of this pattern paper collection. So what I'm going to do is I am going to adhere the 2 little circles on top of the large circle in a way that it looks like a mouse head of sorts. It might look a little familiar to you, it might not, but this is just going to add that extra fun element, a little bit of an extra detail that you know when you give it to the right recipient that loves this little mouse head, it's going to make them feel even more extra special. So it's not going to be the most perfect of mouse heads, but you know what? It's going to get the job done, and you're going to be able to use the dies that are included with that gingerbread treat box add-on, and it just makes it so easy when you don't have to pull in a new die set. You've got it right in front of you. Use the elements that you have. We're going to put that little mouse head on top of our pink die cut tag that we had die cut earlier in this video. And once I've got everything with this mouse nicely in place, we just got to tie it on top of our treat box. I grabbed some new metallic hemp twine from Lawn Fawn. This is it's a teal color, and I just thought that this would work really nicely with the different blues that we're using for this card. Plus I had the color on hand. That's always helpful as well. Sometimes you got to work with what you got, right? So I'm going to just go ahead and tie a cute little bow on top to connect this treat tag to the treat box. And then it's okay. I definitely pulled out too long of a piece of hemp twine, just trim off the edges to get it nicely to size. And once you've got your bow nice and attached, your treat box is fully completed. I say go ahead, use this as inspiration to make your very own treat box. I want to hear below in the comments, what are you going to put inside of it? Are you going to maybe put some chocolate coins, some jelly beans? I don't know, maybe you could even put, it'd be really cute for someone's birthday to like crinkle up dollar bills or something like that. Whatever you think might be super fun. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the future for some more crafty inspiration. Goodbye.